Hello everyone, I want to do a video today on what is happening in the UK and the attack on investment trusts by US activist investors. So investment trusts are a type of investment. You or I put our money into one of these things. Typically they'd be listed on the stock market, and that company in turn, that investment trust, invests in a series of other companies. And right now in the UK, 7 of these investment trusts are being targeted by an activist investor from the US. Why? Because he thinks that he can run it better than these fund managers that are currently running these 7 trusts. He thinks that they're underperforming. Why does he say that? Well, one of the metrics you look at, if you've got shares in an investment trust, you look at the net asset value and the premium or the discount to that net asset value. What do we mean? Well, basically, the net asset value is the value of each of the individual shares in the portfolio held by the investment trust. And then you also compare the share price on the stock market to that net asset value. And if it's at a discount, well, one of two things. Either the fund is being run badly, or you can grab yourself a bargain. So for an example, let's say you've got an investment trust and it's got a basket of different companies that it invests in, and each of them, when you add them all up, are worth 100. But you can buy shares in this investment trust for 80. Right now on the stock market, you can get it for 80, but we know that it's actually worth 100. So that's called a discount to the net asset value, and that's a bargain because you're getting it. Basically, the whole is less than the sum of the parts, so you're getting a bargain. Or is it more systemic, that there's something wrong going on with the management there? Why is this thing trading at a discount? And this activist investor guy said, look, these investment trusts are not being run as well as he thinks he could do it. And there's been a lot of talk in the financial press about this. Now, often with investing, it's quite passive. You put money in and you wait many decades and you sort of wave goodbye to it and hope for the best in 20 or 30 years' time. Then you get your hands on it when you retire. Yes, there are going to be people who are doing day trading and various things, keeping an eye on things more frequently, but tends to be that you may not be doing much trading for many, many years, apart from buying and holding, building up your portfolio. So, this is quite a exciting, for want of a better phrase, the fact that this is going on in the UK right now, because we haven't seen this with investment trusts. And here's an interesting way in terms of how the machinery of investment trust works, insofar as this activist investor guy, he's got holdings in these 7 investment trusts up to about 30%. So you think, well, ordinarily, I've seen your videos before, Simon, and you talk about special resolutions of companies, and you have to have 75%, to be able to do stuff and various things. Well, apparently not in investment trusts. And I didn't actually know this, the nuance of their corporate governance, until all this stuff hit the financial press in the last few weeks. So this guy, even though he doesn't own a majority of shares, he's got maybe between 15 and 30% of these shares in these trusts, he can call a general meeting, okay? And it's a meeting of all of the investors. Now, typically in investment trusts, they are quite weighted quite heavily in terms of retail shareholders, retail investors like you and I. A lot of individual investors, more so than what we call institutional investors like pension funds and other large FTSE 100s. So there's a lot of retail investors, thousands of individuals like us own a percentage of these investment trusts. And once this meeting has been called, apparently to get things through, such as outing the board and getting him in to run it, you need a majority just the majority of the people that actually turn up and vote. Okay? So the fact that he doesn't have the shareholding that you would think on the face of it he could drive this through, the nuance of how the corporate governance in the UK of investment trusts work, if he can get enough people who actually turn up, retail investors, individuals who agree with the fact that he wants to be instated as running the show, it can happen. So now, I'm not giving any investment advice here, I'm just telling you how it is. But I hold shares in one of these investment trusts, and it's the Bailey Gifford US Growth Trust. And I got a letter in the post from the chief executive. Dear Mr. Gray, please, whatever you do, get your vote in and vote against this guy in the general meeting that he's forced, that he's called, and he's been able to do that, but please vote against him, right? Okay, so very interesting. It's not often I get written to by the chief exec of any of the companies that I invest in, and then several days later, big postcard through the door. Shareholders, you must vote. General meeting, okay? So this is obviously the guys who are in charge of these investment trusts right now don't want to lose their jobs, because if enough people who own shares like me and you just don't do anything and don't vote against this activist investor, and enough people come and vote with him, he could get through. So it's an interesting time. Now, you got to think, okay, why is this guy doing it? This guy who's the activist guy thinks, well, I can do a better job than all these guys in the UK, these 7 who are running these firms. So let's have a look at his track record. What's it like? Well, okay, there's a jury's out on that one, but he obviously thinks, look, we can all win here. He's going to make money for himself, and he's going to hopefully make money for the people who own these investment trusts. The current boards of all these investment trusts think the opposite, think this guy is only in it for himself. He's going to ramp up the fees that go to him. He's not necessarily going to do a great job. So it's quite exciting in the investment world. It's certainly something's not happened like this that I've seen before in the investment trust world. So watch this space. We will see what happens. We will see if indeed this activist chap from the States does manage to take over any of these 7 unit trusts in the UK. So yeah, just an overview there on something that caught my attention. It's quite a big deal in the financial world in the city in London right now. Thought I would share that with you. If you like this video, please do subscribe. And as always, see you soon.